All right, hello everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying the class that we're doing or that I'm teaching for the AutoCAD, or actually Introduction to Computer-Aided Design or Drafting, which is basically a AutoCAD class. I know there's some questions about some of the things that we're doing in the class, and thought I'd make this video really quick to help out to get everybody up to speed, and some of the people that maybe have a little more difficulties haven't seen this before. I want to make your life a little easier, so why don't we help you guys out a little bit? And what I'm going to do is go through assignment 2A, 2B, and 2C. Just very quickly, just do it and show you guys all the main steps. This might be maybe not on one video, it might be a couple of videos, so I want to keep them short. Don't like real long ones, so here we go. So first of all, as you can see, you should have a box that you guys drew, which should be 17 long, by 11 high, by 17, and by 11 down. So it's 11 by 17 box, rectangular box. And that's all you need to have. And then down at the bottom, you need to type your name and everything. And how we do that, we do mtext. And that command, what we do is just make a little box. And you can do your name, which I'm going to put mine in there. And the next thing would be what's the class name? 3341. And what is the actual date that you're doing this in? Would be date. And it's going to be whatever the date is, 9/6/2014, whatever it is. And what's the assignment? Title of the assignment should be assignment. And to make sure you have the right proper naming convention, make sure you always follow the assignments. Assignment 2A or B, C, whatever it takes. This happens to be 2A. So I'm done with it, so I'll hit OK. And you'll notice my text is a little big, so what I'll do is I'll double click it, highlight the text, and let's change the size, and let's go down to like say 0.1 or something. See what it looks like. It might be a little too small, so why don't we highlight it again and take it up to 0.2. And that's pretty good. I think we'll be alright with that. And then we can move it, touch it, move it up, and go over here. And you notice when I touch the box, notice that there's some blue handles on it. Well, you can actually adjust the size of that text box just by grabbing the little handle. And then you can move it around again. And we'll just put it right here in this corner. There we go. So that's pretty good. That's all I need. Your name, date, and what assignment you're doing. And that's only going to happen for this time. Next week, I'm going to help you create an actual border. And that'll be your custom border that you're going to use through the rest of the semester. But for right now, for this assignment, very simple. All right, so let's get started. First thing I believe was asking for light bulb and a couple of different objects. So why don't we do the light bulb really quick? I'm just going to do a circle, or actually we won't start with a circle. Why don't we start with a rectangle, which is R-E-C-T. Hit enter. And what I'm going to do, put a rectangle down here, which is basically the bulb. And I'm going to keep it about like that. It doesn't matter. Scale doesn't matter here. All I want to do is see you guys draw these shapes and kind of play around with different commands. In this case, it was a rectangle. You notice when I put my mouse over it, it's actually a polyline. When you use those type of commands that make an object straight up, sometimes they can be created as a polyline. And that's a problem because polylines are limited in how they can be edited, meaning trimmed or changed in any fashion. So in order to make this straight 4 lines, we'd use the explode command, X. Whenever you have something that's big, you just basically explode it. And what will happen is it'll make them individual, put a mouse over it, and it becomes a line. So these are all the individual lines. So now that I've got a line, and got a nice little rectangle, I'm going to make a little bulb top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a circle, C command, circle, right click on my mouse. And if you notice, I'm using OSNAP. Can you see all that? OSNAP is snapping on the different functions or the different snap locations, which happen to be the endpoint of this line or the midpoint or the other endpoint, or it's also an intersection as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the midpoint. I'm going to make a little circle, and it doesn't matter the size of it. Doesn't really matter. All I'm doing is so I can make a bulb. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to trim, TR, right click to enter. I'm going to grab all this stuff right here, right click to accept it, and I'm going to trim out all these things that I don't want. Ooh, and can I trim this? No, I can't, because you know why? There's nothing that it's crossing. It's not touching anything. I need to erase this. E to erase. Touch it and erase it. Right click. Now that I've got my little bulb shape, now I want to make some curves going down. what command do I use? It's called a fillet command. F for fillet. So I'm going to do an F, right click, and then it asks me for what radius do I have. Well, I happen to have one size 1 radius, or 1 unit. Remember, there are no units in AutoCAD. It is based on what I decide to make that. So if this is 1 inch, it could be 1 inch. Now, I'm only calling it 1 inch. Or if it's 1 mile, I'm calling it 1 mile. AutoCAD is unitless, so it doesn't really care. All it sees it as a number 1. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. Let's see how it makes a fillet. Oh, that's nice. The 1 works good. And if that 1 didn't work, I'd probably undo those 2 and then change the radius. How would I do that? Fillet, right click, and I do an R, right click, and then I can specify new radius, whatever that would be. But I'm happy with this, so I'll leave it like it is. Okay? So now that I've got my light bulb, now let's go ahead and draw just a representation of the threads going up, the threads that make a light bulb. So very simply, I'm just going to draw a line going straight across this piece. Oh, and why isn't it going straight? What is it? F8. That means straight. That's ortho. And now I'm just going to trim out these 2 ends. And there we go. Now I want to get this thing to go up a bunch of times. How about I do that? Well, I could probably draw a bunch of lines, but why don't we make it easier? Right now it looks a little thick. Why don't I move it down just a little bit? About there. And now I'm going to say copy, CP or CO, whichever command you like. And I'm going to touch it, and I'm going to right click. And now since I have my O snap on, which is F3 command, the F3 function button, it notices that I can see that there's a endpoint and endpoint. I want to create a base point, right? It's asking me for a base point. So if I want to copy this piece that's selected a bunch of times, all I do is pick a base point, and I go up to the next point, 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 and so forth and so on till I'm happy with it right there. And that's probably a little one too much, so I'll knock that one off. Erase, get rid of it. And guess what? I'm done with my little threads to represent the threads of my light bulb. And then what do I want to do? I want to put 2 little chamfers. Chamfers. That's the other sister command to a fillet. Fillet puts radiuses in. Chamfers put straight slices off. So we're going to put that in right now. So here we go. Chamfer. There we go. And now it's asking me for a distance for my chamfer. Right now it's 0 and 0. Distance means the X direction and the Y direction. So that's what determines the cuts on these things. So why don't we do a D for distance, enter, and what do I want? Why don't we play with the number? Why don't we say 0.25? We'll play with that first. And my second number should equal my first, and that equals a 45-degree angle, right? X and Y have the same value. That would create a 45-degree angle. So I'm just going to enter. Now it's ready for me to select my lines. My left click button on that, a left click button on that. Oh, and that looks really large for that. So let's undo that. And let's go back to chamfer again. And let's go D again. And why don't we go even smaller? And the same thing for the end. And we're going to pick the 2 lines, this one and this one. That's a lot better. And this one and this one. Okay, notice that it did it. And also be careful because I've got a little bit of things here I need to take care of. You got to make sure you're always aware when you cut things off and do things that got to clean your drawing up. So trim. I want to trim from here as a border, and that's my cutting line. And now what do I want to trim? So I pick my cutting line, accept it with my right click, and I trim what I don't want. There we go. There's my light bulb. All right, cool. So let me continue this in a minute with another video.